Can some moves have a time delay, so it's a time bomb? Absolutely, I think so. Also, moves like Caltrops could be useful because it hurt every time you moved a certain lane. Narwhal's Caltrop is absolutely going to be a move. There's also going to be a move based off of the D&D spell Spiked Earth that creates natural Caltrops, and they will deal what's called chip damage every time a creature moves willingly or through forced movement. Another thing I've come up with that I love that came up last stream is an item that changes throw the first time you use it. One of the items we came up with was just going to be a bomb that changes throw to an 80 base power zone targeting fire type attack the first time you use throw in the battle, and then it consumes the bomb. But another one I came up with is a bag of Caltrops that changes throw to a move that puts Caltrops on the field the first time you use it. But bomb and Caltrops are only going to be used by goblinoid and humanoid type critters to make them a bit more limited. Basically, you need hands to use them. Currently, it's only disadvantageous to have two guys be in the front line or the back line. So a rule that I had is support moves are only going to work, barring abilities that bypass this, if you are in the same zone. So moves that heal your partner are only going to work if you're in the same zone. Throwing a dude at a dude, that is absolutely going to happen. I 100% want something that's like only works in melee, throws them to the back line, damages any other critter who's also in the back line when they get there. That is 100% going to be an attack. Not only that, but it's going to deal martial type damage to the one you target with the throw that you grab. Okay, actually, let me explain how this is going to work. This is a move I'm very excited for, and it's going to be a signature move of a grappler that we design later. It's going to grab them, throw them, and then when they land, it'll deal martial damage if they don't crash into someone. But if they crash into a backliner, its type, the type of the attack, will be the primary type of the one you threw is the type of the attack when it concerns the one who's getting hit by them. But the one you threw will take damage of the type of the one it hit. So they're basically slamming into each other, dealing each other's damage, which I think is very funny. Maybe that should be the barbarian advancement for Joblin. Joblin and Sorcerer are each going to have 3.5 advancements. Advancements is our word for evolution. We came up with it last stream. One of the chatters did. It was incredible. Joblin's 3 advancements are going to be based off of a fighter, a paladin, and a barbarian. So making the barbarian one a grappler, I think, is actually a very good idea. I could absolutely see that being a design space that works. The row line thing system feels really cool and dynamic. Like many other critter capture games don't dare to be too different from Pokemon games, and it makes them forgettable. I kind of agree. I think there's some places where Pokemon just has good ideas and you should kind of concede that. It's why I'm doing types. I drafted like 4 different ideas that avoided types, and they all were less fun than types. Like types are just fucking fun. There's no reason to break what's not broken. But I also agree that like critter capture games could afford, when they're trying to be different, to not just be Pokemon. It's also worth noting, what I described is not how battles are going to look when you're up against non-summoners. You might be fighting 5 critters at a time sometimes. The battles against non-summoners are going to be really dynamic, but the summoner battles is our template for what multiplayer is going to look like. Multiplayer is going to be summoner v summoner. Shadow Money Sorcerer game, we love casting spells. You do love casting spells. Oh, guys, do you want to hear something so fucking cool that I came up with as an idea? All right. If you want to teach your critter a new physical move, you have a tome, okay? If you want to teach your critter a new magical move, you have a scroll, all right? Scrolls are also a consumable in battle. If a critter whose magical attack is higher than their physical attack is holding a scroll, and it's a scroll they could learn, the first time they use cantrip, it burns up the scroll and changes cantrip into the held spell scroll, meaning you can effectively go into battle with 5 moves as a magical type critter. However, you only get 1 use of the 5th move. I think that's such a cool idea. I am ecstatic about that as a gameplay concept, and I think it's going to be baller and competitive. I am genuinely ecstatic about the design space that opens up. I'm also going to have at least 1 critter, I don't know who yet, who's gonna have tomes they hold replace strike or throw, depending on if they're ranged or melee. Yeah, you should take notes from Pokemon, but not be too similar. That's my goal. I really want to open up the design space to be fully different where it can be, but like not just try to be different for the sake of it, because sometimes Pokemon has really fucking good ideas. A lot of what they do is very smart and should be considered. I just also want to be different in places where I can be, and it doesn't make the game worse. And it lets me pursue different design goals. Like not having moves be able to miss is a design goal that we have, because I think missing feels bad, but your opponent reading you and dodging an attack feels good. Like it feels like it was a good battle. Like, oh fuck, they saw through me. I love the tense loading a move in a cup, not knowing if your opponent's going to make the same move or the right move and trying to get an attack to land. And I think that uncertainty is going to feel very cool. Are the scrolls basically infinite, or are they very rare to find, otherwise you'd save it for later? Here's how consumables are going to be work. Almost every consumable is going to be a one-time item. However, once you beat the game, they all become infinite. That way, for making your ideal battle team for multiplayer, it's incredibly easy, there's no stress, but you don't have the Gen 5 onwards issue with Pokemon, where the game can be cheesed a lot of ways with your abundance of TMs, where you can just never need an elixir because you just replace moves with TMs on the fly and change your moveset like 5 times throughout the Elite Four. Dodge, don't trip, exactly. So your consumables are going to be a rare, unrenewable resource until you beat the game, and then every consumable item is infinite. You get back all the ones you used, they all come back to you, you have as many of them as you could ever need, you straight up just have infinite, and within the lore of the game, this makes perfect sense. Doesn't that mean you can't really do online PvP before you beat the game? You can't do competitive PvP before you beat the game, but outside of matchmaking, when you do PvP online, you're only going to be set up in matchmaking against people at the same part of the game as you. And once you beat the game, you can play competitively, you'll be matched against other people who've beaten the game, and at that point, it just makes sense that you are being given infinite items so that you can make your team however you want and not need to worry about your consumables in competitive play. Does that mean you can host Joblin Fight Club at low levels? 100% it does. God, dude, I love the idea I have for items so much, the fact that they can change what Strike and Cantrip do to effectively add an extra move to your arsenal, because the big reason Strike, Cantrip, and Throw are being added to the game isn't to use them. Outside of like your first 5 level ups, you aren't going to be using them throughout the game, but the reason that they're there is so that you have something to do if your opponent has put you in a bad situation. You literally can't be put in a situation where there's nothing to do. But that's what's so brilliant about the items that change them, because it takes this design space that's there basically to be our version of struggle from Pokemon, and it turns it into like a genuine option, like a 5th move. And I think that's so fucking cool from a design perspective. I think it opens up what this game can do in a crazy way.